Hi, today we'll be working on assignment 28 where we will be solving word problems. This is a two-part lesson. Today we'll be using the multiply rate. So on the next lesson we'll be doing something else, but for today we're looking for multiplying numbers. So we're going to get right to our exercise. Number 1. The number of people who have heard a rumor grows exponentially a lot of times. Consider a rumor that starts with 3 people, where the number of people who have heard it doubles each class period that it spreads. So why does it make sense that the number of people who've heard a rumor would grow exponentially? Well, think about it. If you tell a couple of people a rumor, they're going to tell a couple of people a rumor, and more and more and more people will know. So it's going to start with only a little bit, and then it's going to get super big. Now, part B says, fill in the table below for the number of people N who know the rumor after it is spread for a certain number of periods. So at our start, 3 people know it. And in the problem, they say it doubles. So that's where we got the 6. Now multiply that by 2, and you get 12. Multiply that by 2. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. And 48 times 2 is 96. Now, we're going to have to figure out the exponential growth formula. So we have y equals a times b to the x. In our last lesson, we did regression. You could absolutely do that. You could put this into L1 and this into L2. We did the stat, the edit, then type that in, and then we did stat, calc. You'll still get the same answer. But that takes a long time. So if you want, you can also use this formula and just figure it out. Remember, A is our starting number, right here. At period 0, before school starts, here's our starting number. So we could say y equals 3. Now, B is our multiply rate. And we multiplied each one of these y numbers by 2 because it was doubling. So there's our multiply rate, and then there's our exponent. You could, like I said, put it in stat edit. You'll get the same information. Now, we're using x and y. If we want to be super awesome, we should use P and N. P stands for the number of periods. That's a time, so that's going to go in our x spot. Usually the first row is x and the second row is y. So instead of a y, I'm going to put an n equals 3 times 2 to the number of periods. And there's a typo in here. How many people would know the rumor after 5 school days? Let's say 5. No, let's change that. Let's do 8 periods. So after 1 day, started with 3 people. So that's going to go into our exponent. So we'll say n equals 3 times 2 to the 8. So we could, whoa, sorry about that, guys. That's a big 8. I'm using the computer today, not the smartboard, because I want to be able to type in here. So I'm going to take this part right here and put it into Desmos. So I'm going to do 3, and then I'm going to do my parentheses. Now to get an exponent, just like Delta Math, you hit Shift 6. 768. That is a lot of people. So a lot of times when we do these problems, we say, does that make sense? If 3 people know a rumor, do we really think by the end of the day, 768 students would know the rumor? That's up for debate. I guess it depends on what the rumor is. Let's go to the next page. So we have Bob. He's heading towards a windmill in a very peculiar way. He starts 160 feet up. That's our A value. He's starting 160 feet away from the windmill. On his first trip, he walks half the distance to the windmill. On the next trip, he walks half of what is left. On each consecutive means every other one, he walks half of the distance he has left. We're going to model the distance D that Bob has remaining to the windmill after n trips. So here's our picture. It's pretty awesome. Fill in the table below for the amount of distance Bob has left after n trips. So his first trip is 60, then 80. So we're cutting it in half. 40, divide that by 2, you get 20. Divide that by 2, we get 10. Now it says each entry can be found by multiplying by what number? See, I was saying divide by 2, but divide by 2 does not mean multiply. If you're doing these problems and you think divide by to get a multiply rate, just put a 1 on top. So multiply by a half, okay? If you're dividing by 3, that means you're multiplying by 1 over 3. Exponential formulas are always in terms of multiplying. So y equals, our starting number is 160 times our multiply rate of a half. And then our exponent is up here. Now we're going to be a little bit fancy and use the letters. That's our y, that's our x. Use the letters they gave us. So distance equals 160 times 1/2. And instead of x, it's the number of trips. A lot of times it helps to put your equations with the letters they give you, because then when you do the word problems, it's a little bit easier to know where to plug things in. So part E says, how far from the windmill will Bob be after 10 trips? So that is our N. So D equals 160 times 1/2, and our exponent is 10. So D equals, now I'm going to type that into our Desmos Scientific, 160, 1 divided by 2 gives you that. Let's pick it out and then do my parentheses. Exponent 10. So 0.15625. So that is 0.15625. And in the problem, it says, don't forget those units. It's feet. So if you are 0.156 feet, that means you're like, I don't know, less than an inch away from the windmill. So part G says, well, Bob, explain why Bob will never reach the windmill, period. Technically, if he's this far, he could touch the windmill. But in math world, you're never going to get there because you're always cutting this number in half. And when you cut something in half, you never get to 0. In the real world, he's at the windmill. But in math world, he'll never get there. So now we have exercises 3 and 4. I would like you to try these two. That one for a virus, and this one for a cell phone. So you're going to try those two problems, and then you are going to attach it to the Google Classroom page as your work. Take care. If you have questions, please join the meet and ask. Have a good one, guys.